Hello, I'm Michael, and this is Tarot by the Tree. This is part of what we've been doing to teach some ways of reading cards. And this is the end of the series. Today we're going to be looking at Shannon. We have one more to do after this, and then we'll be moving on to other things. I have a couple of notes. One, I don't actually, when I do someone's tarot, take a big piece of paper and lay out the cards like this. Although having done it for this series, I think it's a great way of doing it. And if somebody could give me the questions first and give me a bit of time to come up with this, I quite like it. But what I've always done in the past is I would make a sketch, something like this, and I would show the person what I'm going to do on the table. And this will be a representation of the table, which I can keep to the side just to remind the people of what each card represents. But I do like the full-size paper like that. It makes it very clear, keeps everybody in full understanding, helps keep me on track. When you want to prepare your cards for fortune telling, the best way is, it takes a bit of time. You make 4 piles and get through one half of the cards, then to the other half, and then put the 4 piles together. That will give you complete shuffling with no danger of reversing cards, which I will always check, and I'm always careful. Reverse cards are something that would almost never show up. If they do, we do take notice of them, and basically whatever that card says, I treat it as not present in this reading. Shannon has written us and asked for a reading, and we're going to take a look at that too. A few things before we do the reading. Shannon is a young person. She's in nursing school, and she's working. She'll graduate in a year if all goes to plan. And she seems that she really has her head on straight, so to speak. She wants to end up with a career that will give her some self-sufficiency. She wants to be with a certain person. She wants to be secure, not worry about having enough money for rent or groceries. And this is what we talked about in the whole suit of coins. This is not money to be rich. This is money to allow you to be free to use your other attributes. Throughout the different discussions I've had online with Shannon, one thing comes out a lot is worry. And worry can be crippling. It can lead to depression and meltdowns. And we're going to take a look at some of these things too, and try to see them a little bit in a different light before we do the reading. A note too, that if somebody is suffering from some kind of depression, we'll talk about just the natural things you can do with it. I've tried that, and I didn't notice a big difference until I went off the medications, and that was very, very troublesome and difficult. So if you're on any kind of a psychotropic medication, don't just stop taking it. Consult with your doctor and get off it in an appropriate way. With Shannon, she has a natural worry, and we're going to look into this more and realize that this isn't a bad thing. This is part of her makeup. And the thing that I found makes the biggest difference, most permanent difference, to the point where some of the bad feelings you have just aren't in evidence anymore, is on a daily basis, good food and daily exercise. That made a much bigger difference. We talk about the spiral of depression that will go around and around steadily downwards. With food and exercise, that spiral is always intercepted early and it moves you back up. And so you never go too deep into the spiral. But those two things are essential. And in time, many of the bad feelings will go away. It sounds preachy, but I think that as we'll get into this more about sensitive people, the idea, if you're a person who is naturally sensitive and intelligent and apprehensive about the future, worry will be natural to you, and it should be natural. It's a natural feeling. We'll just try to steer it a bit and see if that will happen. Sensitivity, as we've talked about, is a two-edged sword. It is not a weakness, it's an ability. Shannon feels more than other people, both the good and the bad. As we mentioned, this is not a weakness, it's an ability, but one that comes with a price. Because of this sensitivity, it is logical that she would look ahead. It's an aspect of sensitivity that she would worry. She would, in a sense, wonder what was going to happen in the future. She'd be looking to the future. And people who say, don't be so pessimistic, don't be so negative, they don't understand this isn't really a negative thing. This is just looking ahead to possible obstacles. It is not being negative or pessimistic to wonder where the cliff is or the railroad tracks are. That's just taking care of your future. And it is, in a sense, exploring the worst case scenario. All of these things are natural until that meltdown happens in sensitive people, where they start to feel a lot more and worry a lot more. And like we said, if there isn't sort of a backlog of daily food and exercise, that will begin the downward spiral. The fact that Shannon is in nursing gives her mobility, and that's a good thing, but transition is always difficult. If you're in a delicate position right now, it may not be the very best thing to do, but your career makes it always possible, and it's something to keep in your back pocket, but don't be in a hurry to use it. Our problems tend to follow us wherever we go, and so if there is a problem in existence now, work on that where you are. The mobility is going to be a permanent part of your job. So we're going to take a look at Shannon, and basically we're looking a little bit at the worry, that feeling that can cause depression and start to cause a meltdown in her. And she's worried that this will happen again, and in a sense sabotage her plans and her hopes. As we mentioned, food and exercise have to be very much permanent in her life, and she will still feel the signs of depression, but they won't go to that debilitating stage. So we're going to take a look at different aspects, and here's how we're going to do it today. We're looking always at 3-card vertical spread, which is Shannon. That's going to talk about the psychologies active in her right now. We're treating her nursing career as an entity or a personality. And we're doing a 3-card spread, nursing career, and we're going to be looking at the 3 aspects of that career. In between the 2 spreads of Shannon and the career, we're looking at the relationship between the two of you. Is it cooperative or adversarial, growing or diminishing? And underneath, we're looking at the feelings that are going to be active in Shannon as a result of her interaction with the nursing career. We're focusing on worry. That's the thing that we're going to be looking at. We're going to move from this to the overall state, and we're going to do the 4 parts of all of us: the physical, intellectual, social, and end with the emotional. We're just going to take a 1-card look at each of these 4 areas and reinforce the idea that a balance is going to be necessary to prevent meltdowns in the future. This will give us an idea of her makeup. Finally, let's look at 1 year later. I really like 1 year because it's a great way to make plans and to make goals for yourself. In 1 year, you can pretty well accomplish anything if you approach it with a high degree of interest on a daily basis. You could learn the guitar, you could learn to dance, you can make beginnings at another language, and if any part of your health is not the best, a year from now, it can be changed in a very marked way. A year from now, we're going to look again, Shannon and the career, but it's going to be condensed. Shannon, all at 1 card, the career, all at 1 card. Similarly, we're going to look at the relationship between the two and see how that is. Any career is going to be difficult, and depending on the people, it can be adversarial. We don't know. We'll see. At the very bottom, just like the first set, we're going to look at what her general feelings are a year later. She could be buckling under the strain. She could be thriving with the new challenges. We don't know. As always, a tarot reading is one of a million possible futures. This is for interest and just to give us ideas and insight, and it in no way predicts the future. I always just check to make sure the cards are upright, and we're going to do Shannon's reading now. I don't always do this. I used to think that the bottom card on the deck could in no way be part of the reading. So this must be something that's not going to be relevant. Time and time again, I find the bottom card on the deck often provides us with an overview. You don't have to do this, and I don't always do this, but the bottom card on this deck is the 9 of coins. This is a lady who is like a queen in the real world. The hawk on her hand has a hood, and that suggests controlled thought. Her emotions no longer run away with her. She controls her emotions through her intellect. She is wealthy, she is secure, she's protected, and she's respected. She exists on the middle path, the path of mildness between extremes. Shannon, if this is sort of an overview of your future, I don't think you could ask for a better one, and we'll just see what happens as we start turning the cards. First of all, we're looking at Shannon. These are the 3 active parts of her personality right now in terms of the psychology. We're going to take a look at the nursing career as if it was a person, as if it was a living entity. Between Shannon and the career, we're going to look at their relationship. What is the state of it? And at the very bottom, Shannon's feelings. What's going on with her feelings? We're looking for confidence. We're looking at mildness. We're hoping that it's not distress, that kind of, as you mentioned before, that kind of meltdown where all of your strengths just can't be utilized by you at the moment. Her overall state will look at the physical, the intellectual, the social, and the emotional, and those are the 4 legs of the chair that we all sit on. Those are the 4 aspects of human beings. Finally, a year later, where is Shannon going to be? This is her state, and this is the state of the career. Now, maybe she's still in nursing, maybe she's not. Well, it seems she is. The relationship between her and her career a year from now, when she's moving into the profession, no longer as a student. And finally, we have her feelings at the beginning. What will her feelings be like a year from now? A recap: cups is happiness, coins are your possessions, swords are your power, but they'll wound you if you use your power, and staves are your enterprise and your plans, your ideas. Start right now with Shannon. What's at work in her? We have the Knight of Pentacles. This man rides a very powerful war horse over plowed fields. He's an enforcer, and he's looking ahead to new growth, new riches. He can't be hurt. He is a builder of wealth. And that's an aspect that we see on Shannon right now. She is steadfast. She is working towards independent wealth. As a knight, she is very intent on her purpose. She is armored and protected. Another aspect of Shannon right now is the High Priestess. This is the number 2 card. This is after the Magician with all the ideas on the universe. It's after the Big Bang, and everything is expressed. Everything comes flooding, manifest into the universe. With the High Priestess, it's the beginning of sexuality. These are pomegranates in the background, sexual signs. The 2 pillars are severity and mercy. That is the very beginning of the female and male aspects. With the High Priestess comes a great deal of imagination, and that's flowing from her through the moon. And a very spiritual, powerful person, very intent on what's real and what's actual, and the beginning of the polarities of male and female. In fact, the High Priestess exists on the male column. The High Priestess is a male, but she is a High Priestess as well. Thirdly, the Ace of Cups. This is the beginning of happiness into your life. This is something happening in your life right now that is bringing you joy. It will continue to build. This is the divine hand holding the chalice of joy. The dove coming down is symbolic of God's graces. And this is a wonderful card. As a recap, you're strong. You're after financial security and independence. You're wise. There are great and different polarities existing within you, and you are starting to feel the beginning of joy and happiness. It looks like you're moving in the right direction. We'll take a look at what nursing is to you, and I'm sure it's very large in your mind now. Nursing, this is very busy. You're not physically being hurt because you're on the high ground, but you're being constantly assaulted with new ideas. And we can see in nursing, this would be the case. As far as nursing goes, as far as your career goes, the nursing career goes now, there is a feeling of being besieged by ideas constantly, and trying to fit your mind around these sometimes competing ideas. Another aspect of nursing is the Queen of Cups. This is, there is no more powerful in terms of happiness card than the Queen of Cups. Her imagination is a very large part of this, and she holds a cup unlike any of the others. It's an incredibly ornate chalice. A lot of her happiness is based on plans for the future and the joy that comes with seeing things grow. So that's an aspect of the nursing right now is ideals. There are ideals in this that have to do with the happiness, I would imagine, of the patients and the plans towards the future of improving that. So there's a lot of busyness now, and there's trying to meet high ideals, something that's not doing the best you can, it's doing the best that can be done. And finally, in terms of nursing, we see the beginning of new ideas, the beginning of enterprise. This could be employment, but it's not coins, but it could be the kind of employment where it really becomes part of your mind. This is the beginning of something that has to do with plans and your ideas, manifesting, making something real that maybe was just ideas before. Right now, the relationship between Shannon and her workplace is success mingled with disappointment. This person has labored long and hard and has made progress in being independently wealthy. However, he's disappointed. The harvest has not been as great as he expected. Despite all the work, they're just not feeling the rewards right now. There's the promise of reward, but at this moment, the feeling is not living up to the promise. Finally, what is Shannon's feelings? What are Shannon's feelings at the moment? And we're especially looking at worry. And we see the Page of Pentacles. This is a person who is in service to the Queen, who looks ahead to ideals and long-term spending for long-term gain. And at this point, her feelings and her worry seem to revolve around being independent and having the income to, and having the income just to be able to be yourself. Without that, you're going to be a puppet, and other people will always be pulling your strings. So we've taken a look at Shannon strongly pursuing financial independence, a person of polarities and the ability to bring ideas into reality, and also beginning is a state of happiness with her. Nursing is very busy, comprised of high ideals, but it also is the beginning of materializing your plans. At the moment, there's a lot of work and you're disappointed at some aspects of it, and the feeling, is this going to be enough for your financial independence? And finally, your feelings seeking financial independence. And we do see the coins coming up a fair amount in this, and that's a reasonable thing. That's a way of planning your future, and worry over that is reasonable. It's only when the worry becomes incapacitating that it's a problem. And that's why we mentioned the food and exercise. That gives you that little buttressing effect, so the spiral will only go down so far. We're going to take a look at the overall state. Shannon right now. Shannon in her physical state. This is the Hangman. This means that her physicality is not readily apparent to everybody. Some people may discount her. Some people may not realize the degree of her physical nature. I have no idea what that means, but the Hangman is somebody with greatness who at the moment is not recognized. People don't appreciate what he has. So that's the physicality right now of Shannon. Intellectually, as the Queen of Wands, she is an expert at plans, at enterprise, and making things happen. As a queen, there is no one more powerful than she is. And that would be this will be a large part of where her mind is going, is towards concrete plans and the way of securing a more secure, securing a more viable and well, a more wealthy and self-sufficient kind of future. Her social life is the Chariot. Now, the Chariot is a card of mental wellness. It's a card of synergy. It's a card of Shannon being able to link two different things together and get more out of the two of them than you would expect from looking at them singly. This pin between them is the link pin, and that's what keeps them together socially. Shannon is wonderful. She keeps her intellect and her emotions chained together. And that's the greatest thing that you can do. The other side of this coin would be some form of mental illness when you were no longer able to keep the two beasts together, and it would degrade into the moon. But this is a very good card. And as far as her emotional state goes, the Emperor is king of all kings. He cannot be hurt. He is in charge. He is the one that makes the decisions. This is excellent. It suggests that you are not going to be under the whims of your subconscious. This suggests that your emotions will end up being fully under your control. We're not looking at the things that led up to everything, but you did mention having a kind of a meltdown in the past. This card suggests that maybe there were a lot of things going on in your life then that were breaking you down a bit that may not be present now. I'm just suggesting that you don't want to hold it over your head like a specter, something that happened a long time ago when situation was not that great. Right now, the cards say that there is no question that emotionally you are in full control. 1 year later, Shannon's been going through all these different things, and we're going to take a very quick sneak peek and an encapsulated look at Shannon nursing, the relationship, and her feelings. Shannon, a year from now, feels sad. She wakes up heartbroken. She's used her power and she feels that someone was hurt by that. Someone was saddened, and as a result, she is deeply saddened by that. As far as nursing goes, it's the Page of Wands, which means as far as nursing goes, as far as a job goes, her plans are being put fully into effect, and that the nursing has developed into a job. I'd like to suggest that a feeling like this in nursing is probably par for the course, part of the territory. I think there will be moments. But 1 year later, Shannon will be going through a period of sadness and feeling a little bit of blame. The relationship between Shannon and her job is stressful. She's carrying a big load. She can do it. There is no question, but she can't do this forever. Her load is so big, she can't really see clearly the road ahead of her. This is also a 10 card. This means that she has reached the end of a cycle. This could be the moment right before a promotion or right before a new job. We don't know. But the relationship a year from now in nursing is one of nothing she can't handle, but it's difficult. She's not breaking down, but she does feel some sadness and loss, and she does share in the cause of that. finding her overall feelings despite everything. The Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is very happy, joyful person in service of the Queen. The water is the imagination. The fish out of the cup means that a lot of his happiness is from his imagination, looking forward to future plans. But we see no evidence of sadness or upset. Briefly, Shannon is a strong person with really some polar opposites existing in her, who's beginning to feel some joy in her life. There's a lot of work, there's some disappointment, but it looks very successful in accomplishing what she wants, which is financial independence. The nursing job is busy, there's a struggle. She has to be aware of the highest of ideals, and she has to live up to those, and she will see the beginning of her plans coming into effect in terms of her job. When we look at Shannon physically, which is probably her physicality is going to have the greatest bearing on any kind of breakdown or episode she has later. And this is a confusing card. It's a card where she may not be exactly the way she looks. So she could appear to be in great shape, but she's not. Or she could appear to be in bad shape, but she's really in quite good shape. I don't know, but there's something about this card that means it's not being fully recognized for the greatness that it contains. In terms of her intellectual, the Queen of Wands is dedicated to bringing her ideas into reality, and we could think of this as the development of her job. Her social life is very controlled, and people will respect this. The balance between her emotion and intellect, she always keeps in check. She doesn't become over analytical and logical, and she doesn't become kind of crazy and superficial either. And finally, her emotional state is fully under her control. She doesn't have the specter of something about to jump out and break down her defenses. That's not possible as the Emperor. Finally, a year later, she will have times of sadness. She will become used to the power that she has and the using it, and she will be surrounded from time to time with sadness. The job will continue to develop, and her ideas will continue to be put into reality, although at times that reality will be a burden. Her emotional state will reflect joy and happiness in the long run, at least 1 year from now. That's it, Shannon. I hope this was at least of some interest to you. And thank you for sharing with me all these things. And we'll see everybody next week. Bye for now.